Most people who get into flipping real estate focus their efforts on generating private seller leads, or what are referred to as off-market leads. This is when you're dealing directly with a private seller. Well, another type of lead source is what we refer to as on-market. Now, on-market simply means it's a property for sale with a real estate agent. Well, as of late, I've been seeing a lot of questions and a lot of confusion in the house flipping community regarding if and how you wholesale on-market properties with real estate agents. So on today's video, I'm gonna break it down for you. Get ready to learn how to flip houses listed for sale with a real estate agent. Coming up. Hi, it's Jerry Norton, and I got my real estate license about 15 years ago when I first started flipping houses, and about 10 years ago, I got my real estate broker's license, and to this day, I still own a real estate brokerage in Michigan, and even though I don't use my license to do real estate sales, it's a world I understand all too well. In fact, I have to get this out of the way because it's one of my pet peeves. A licensed real estate salesperson should technically be referred to as a real estate agent, not a realtor. A realtor is a trademark name referring to a real estate agent that is a member of the National Association of Realtors, which not all real estate agents are members of. And since we do things right around here, we're gonna call them real estate agents, not realtors. Okay, the very first thing you need to know is that some of the best deals are on market. So if you're not going after on market leads, you're really missing out. So first I wanna make sure you understand the big picture and the role a real estate agent has in a transaction, and then break it down for you and share you the 10 tips for how to get good wholesale deals from real estate agents. But first, if we've never met, I'm Jerry Norton, and this channel is dedicated to helping you make more money right now in real estate, not later in 10 or 20 years, or even 3 to 5 years, but right now so that you can achieve true financial freedom and live your dream life. Consider subscribing to my channel, click the bell icon to get notified when new videos are released. And be sure to stay to the end of this video because I'm gonna share with you a free software tool that finds all of the on-market underpriced homes in any zip code in a matter of seconds. You're gonna love it, so stick around for that. When it comes to wholesaling, you most definitely can wholesale a house listed for sale with an agent. In fact, it's no different at all other than you're interacting with the agent who represents the seller and not the seller directly. Keep in mind, the seller hired an agent to sell the property for him or her. They most likely signed an exclusive agreement with that agent, which is typically about 6 months. That means the seller can't sell it on their own without still owing the commission to the agent. The agent's job is to find a buyer, so they list the property for sale on a private listing board privy only to licensed real estate agents called the Multiple Listing Service, or MLS. This is where agents collaborate with each other to match buyers and sellers. It's important to note that as soon as an agent lists a property on the MLS, other public websites such as Zillow.com, Trulia.com, Redfin.com, Realtor.com, and other sites scrape the information from the MLS and they make it available to the general public. This is really important, so I'm gonna come back to this. Typically, when a seller hires a listing agent, the seller agrees to pay a commission for selling the property. The total commission is usually 6% of the sale price, but it's completely negotiable despite what agents will tell you. A lot of people are confused about who pays the commissions, so let me make that clear. The seller pays the commissions, not the buyer. Now remember when I said agents collaborate? Well, if the total commission is 6%, what typically happens is another agent brings a buyer called a buyer's agent, and then the listing agent and the buyer's agent will split the commission and they'll each get paid 3%. Aside from finding a buyer, the agents also assist in making sure that the transaction goes smoothly, such as paperwork, coordinating the closing, etc. Okay, so that was a quick overview of how agents work. Now, I hope that makes sense. If not, I have an entire playlist of videos with tips and strategies for working with agents. So how do you wholesale transactions with on-market properties that are listed with agents? Let me go through my 10 tips to help you. My first tip is that many motivated sellers list with agents. Too often wholesalers think there are no motivated sellers that are on market, and that is a big mistake. Many times a motivated seller chooses to list with an agent instead of finding their own buyer on their own. Tip number 2, on-market leads are more competitive because, like I said earlier, as soon as a property is listed on the MLS, it hits all of the public sites like Zillow and Redfin, which means it becomes public knowledge. You need to be aware that there may be a lot of competition. The key is finding a competitive advantage. Stick around for tip number 8, where I'm going to show you how. Tip number 3 is even though the buyer doesn't pay the commission, it's still a fee that the seller has to pay, which means it affects his net proceeds when he sells the property, and it's going to be a consideration in the seller's decision when accepting a price. There's nothing you can do about this other than be aware of it. So for example, if you make an offer for $100,000 and the seller has to pay 6% to agents, his after commission proceeds are actually $94,000. This is one of the downsides to on market. The seller has to pay commissions to get his house sold. Tip number 4 is you will need to work directly with the seller's listing agent. However you found the lead, don't try to go to the seller directly. That is unethical because the seller has an agreement with the agent. If a seller contacts you but already has a listing agreement with an agent, stop communicating with the seller and begin communicating with that agent. This also means the agent will write the offer using their state-approved paperwork. Tip number 5 is since you will be working directly with the agent, all of your information will only be coming from the agent's filter. You may or may not uncover the seller's real dilemma or their real motivation, or even if they're truly motivated to sell at all. Some agents are open and share information, others are tight-lipped and they won't give you anything. Ask lots of questions, but know you may be in the dark. Tip number 6 is not to disclose that you're a wholesaler. That will freak out the agent, especially if they don't understand how wholesaling works. And you don't have to, so why would you? You are the buyer, and once you have a contract, you have every right to assign your contract to whoever you want, and you don't have any obligation to disclose to the agent that you're going to wholesale it. Your only obligation is to perform according to the terms of the contract. Once you get an executed contract, you assign the contract to a cash buyer, same as you would with a private seller. Just because there's an agent doesn't change how you wholesale a contract. The agent is going to find out you're wholesaling it at the closing, same as the seller. At closing, if the agent is alarmed about finding out you're wholesaling a property, again, too bad, it doesn't concern them. They're getting exactly what the contract spelled out, same as the seller. But to put them at ease, you could say something like this: Miss Agent, I have a lot going on right now in my business, so rather than keep this deal for myself, I've decided to pass it off to one of my partners. And that's all you have to say. Now, tip number 7, since the agent is going to use their purchase and sale contract, make sure they do not put in the contract a no assignment clause. A no assignment clause states that you cannot assign your contract. Now, I did a detailed video explaining what the no assignment clause is, so watch this video to learn more. FYI, all bank-owned properties such as REOs and short sales have no assignment clauses, which means you would have to do a double closing. That is, unless you know how to do my workaround, watch this video. Tip number 8 is to always make the offer regardless of asking price. Since you're not able to talk directly with the seller, you have no way of knowing if the seller is truly motivated to sell, regardless of asking price. Even the agent doesn't really know. It's very common for an agent to advise a seller to list a property for more than the seller is actually willing to accept. Let's say, for example, that an agent advises a seller to list the house for $100,000 when the seller in reality would be willing to accept a cash offer for $60,000. The only way you'll know if the seller is truly motivated is to make the offer. Always make the offer. Tip number 9 is to be prepared for resistance from agents. Many don't like to present low offers as they think it's a waste of time. In the example I just gave, where the property is listed for $100,000 and your offer is $60,000 to make it a good wholesale deal, it's common for agents to tell you they do not want to even present your offer to the seller because they think they already know the seller won't accept it. Trust me, you will run into this a lot. First of all, never trust this. The agent doesn't really know if the seller will take your offer. Maybe they turned out an offer for $60,000 last week or even yesterday. That was the past. Motivation changes weekly and daily. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten deals significantly lower than the list price. You have to convince the agent to still make the offer. Here's what I say. Miss Agent, I realize my offer is quite a bit lower than the asking price, and you're probably right, the seller probably won't accept my offer, but I'll tell you what, rather than take the time to formally write the offer, just present a verbal offer to the seller. If they are interested, we can put it in writing and make it official. That way you haven't spent any time writing an offer, and it will only take a few minutes to call the seller and present my verbal offer. If the agent still refuses and you want to be a little more aggressive, use the following. Miss Agent, this property is still for sale, and your job as a seller's agent is to present any and all offers and let the seller decide. All I'm asking is that you give the seller my verbal offer. Now, a verbal offer obviously isn't as good as a written offer, but it's still better than no offer. And man, I'm glad you made it this far in the video because tip number 10 is gold. Don't use a buyer's agent to make your offers, in which case your buyer's agent would split the commission with the listing agent and they would each get 3%. That's what everybody else does, and you don't have a competitive advantage. Instead, go directly to the listing agent, unrepresented, and offer the listing agent to represent you, which is called dual agency. By doing that, the listing agent would get both sides of the commission, or 6%, and will be highly motivated to help you get your offer accepted, and even better, they'll bring you their future deals. Now, I did an entire video about this strategy, so be sure to watch it for more details. And finally, I've got something really cool that you're gonna want. I developed a software that scrapes and finds all of the active on-market properties in any zip code that are underpriced. These are your hottest leads. Using this software and the tips that I shared on this video, you can crush it wholesaling on-market deals with agents. To get that software for free, just click the link in the description. And if you learned something in this video, show some love, hit that like button, and if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm dedicated to helping you make more money in less time flipping houses so that you can live your dream life. And remember, it's not about the money, it's about having the time and freedom to have, be, do, and give everything you want in life. That's what it's all about, and I'll see you on the next video.